What's going on, guys? For fan talk, all the reaction here to AJ knocking out Pulev in the ninth round. Wow, what a fight, man! First of all, it was an entertaining fight, very entertaining fight, man. There was a lot of hoo-haing in the build-up. Pulev was really giving it. I thought AJ was a bit rattled, to start off with in that build-up, man. Up until the fight, he was very calm and composed. But I think on the Thursday, or no, it was the Friday at the weigh-in. That was when tensions really started to spill over. And you could tell that AJ wanted to do a number on Pulev. And to be honest, that was my prediction going in. I always thought that Anthony Joshua would do a number on Kubrat Pulev. And so it proved. I mean, it was a great fight, first of all. Pulev, very brave. Anthony Joshua, first round, it was pretty cagey. Like both men were just kind of feeling each other out, as you kind of expect these guys to do at this particular level. And then in the second round, Anthony Joshua established his jab. Third round, he started to land his punches and got Pulev on the floor. Pulev turned his back twice in that third round. That fight really could have been stopped in the third. It could have really been stopped then. But to be fair to him, he recovered. He came back and he survived. He survived the fourth round. He managed to make it all the way up until the ninth. And he was very cagey. He landed a couple of rights here and there. But to be fair to Anthony Joshua, man, he was disciplined, did what he had to do, and he got the knockout win. So I'm going to get some fan reaction here. I'm going to see. There's somebody that's telling me that they're waiting to be joining the stream now. Let me just get the link for them. And then we can keep on talking, guys. So big up to everybody in the chat so far. Let me know your reaction, man. Drop your comments. Let me know what you think of the fight itself. Well, obviously, the fight we all want to see is AJ against Pulev. Fight we want to see is AJ against Fury. Whether that will be made for next year, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. But again, that is the fight we all want to see. I was a bit, kind of disappointed in the interview because I wanted to see Anthony Joshua just call out Fury. Just say, yeah, this is the fight that I want. I know he's done it before. He's called out Fury, but it seemed to me that he couldn't wait to get out of there. I mean, it seemed like Joshua just couldn't wait to just get out of the interview, go back in the changing room, speak to Rob McCracken, probably talk about tactics and what they could do for the next fight. But us as fans, the thousands of people that was in the stadium, just there in the arena, everybody that was watching on pay-per-view, obviously we want to hear AJ call out Fury because that's the fight that we want to see. Undisputed heavyweight title, all the belts on the line. But if we're being honest, man, I reckon that both men do want it. And hopefully it will happen. But we're going through a pandemic right now. And I guess we just have to just wait and see what happens. But big up David Smith in the chat. He said, have you seen Fury's Twitter post? I haven't yet. What did he say? What did Tyson Fury say? That's quite interesting, actually. I haven't got to see it yet. I've just literally jumped online right now. So I haven't actually seen what Tyson Fury said. But was he congratulating AJ? Was he, a bit about his performance? Never look. See, he's released a video, hasn't he? There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I've just seen it now, mate. Just seen it now. Fury's talking up. That's what we want to see at the end of the day. That's what we want to see. We want to see these guys talk it up. I was a bit disappointed with AJ not really, calling him out and going for it, man. We want to see that. So, like Tyson Fury's talking it up. A lot of people are going to be pumped by that. I saw Josh Taylor tweet during the fight. Josh Taylor was like, AJ beats Fury. And listen, I don't think we should be that critical of AJ, to be honest. I thought that he did what he had to do. He got Pulev out of there. Pulev has always been a tricky and awkward customer. Even though his style might not be pleasing on the eye, he did get him out of there. But yeah, that is the fight we want to see at the end of the day. And if I'm honest, I would still make Tyson Fury the favorite over Anthony Joshua, if I'm being honest, man. He called him a big bum. So yeah, I just see it, man. Big up David Smith in the chat. Thank you for joining. Mohammed Zishan, what's going on, bro? He said, who have I got winning out of Fury and Joshua? Right now, I'd have to lean towards Fury, man. I think it's not going to be like the Wilder fight where Fury was dominating. And I don't think Fury beats Joshua easily. I think that both men are going to be in for a tough fight, man. But if I was to lean towards someone, it'd definitely be Tyson Fury right now. I just think that he's he's got. We've obviously seen the ability that he's got. I think that his height, his awkwardness, what he can do can cause AJ problems. Stamina will be a big issue as well. I think that Fury has the potential to kind of get that fight in the later rounds, and then we need to see what Joshua would have then. He's not a better boxer on the back foot than Fury. And I'll just lean towards Fury in that. But I'm not ruling AJ out. I mean, AJ could put a hurting on Fury. We've seen guys get close to Fury. I think if AJ was able to get inside, mix it up with Fury, land those uppercuts, we've seen how dangerous they are. There's no ruling that he could take Fury out. Fury's been on the canvas before, so it's not impossible. But yeah, if you were to ask me now, I'll probably lean towards Fury. What about you guys? Everybody in the chat right here, who are you picking out of Fury and Joshua? Because that's what we all want to see at the end of the day. Biggest fight in British boxing history, undisputed heavyweight title on the line. It doesn't get any bigger than that. Do you know what I mean? Big up David Smith here. He says, I think Fury dances around AJ all night. Very real possibility, man. It's a possibility. Pulev did have some success today. I mean, he was landing that right hand, and he was quite awkward in there. And Fury's much better than Pulev. Do you know what I mean? So I know it's different styles, but I just think that Fury has the style to really give AJ fits. So it's going to be an interesting fight, and I just want to see it. I'm not ruling out either man. I think that either man could win, but Fury would be the favorite for me. So back to this fight here with AJ and Pulev. I thought that, yeah, AJ did what he had to do, got the knockout that he wanted. I think it was important he got the knockout tonight, I think it was important he got that knockout, because if he didn't, then there'll be a lot of critics. I've seen there's been some critics anyway with regards to AJ's performance, but I think him getting the knockout like he did, putting Pulev flat on his back after all the talk this week, that was very important for Anthony Joshua. So yeah, fair play to him. Big up Yez in the chat. He said he'd favour Fury, and he said that he would bring mind games leading up to the fight. He started the mind games already. As soon as the fight finished, he jumped on live and he's literally said what he would do to AJ. Whereas in the interview just now, AJ kind of avoided that question, said to the fans, "Oh, what do the fans want?" Well, we all know what the fans want. The fans want to see AJ against Fury. That's it. So I think AJ could have done more there and could have really just called him out. And, but it is what it is. AJ's always been that kind of person. He's not really been on the hype talk that much. I think he's just all business. So I wouldn't read too much into it. But I just think us as fans, we would have liked to have seen, AJ kind of call out Fury the way how Fury's calling him out. But at the end of the day, as long as, these two guys get negotiating, we get Eddie Hearn, we get Bob Arum together and let these guys try and get this fight together, that's the most important thing at the end of the day. So yes, there in the chat again, he said, I was a little concerned with AJ dodging the questions. He's been dodging the questions all week. I was saying that my cousin's here watching the fight with me and he was looking for it. He was like, yeah, AJ's going to call him out. Didn't do it. AJ just kind of, at the end there, he just wanted to get out. He just wanted to, go back in the change room. And he's been like that all week. I saw an interview on IFL a couple of days ago, and AJ kind of made it clear to Cougar, like, don't talk about Fury, don't talk about Wilder, don't talk about anyone else. I just want to talk about Pulev. And listen, we know that this is the biggest fight in boxing right now, but we still need to sell it. And I think any sort of hype around the fight, we could just use it to sell, man. I mean, this is what we want to see. So, yeah, I was wondering why he was dodging the questions. Why do you think he was dodging them? I mean, was it just all business from him? Like, it was the same sort of thing with Wilder, wasn't it? Like, he wasn't really kind of talking that fight up either. It was really all Wilder. So, yeah, to be fair to AJ, I know him and his team did try and make that fight, but it didn't happen. But it is what it is, man. Where is Deontay Wilder anyway? What's going to happen with him? Is he going to fight Fury next? Not sure. Big up David Smith again in the chat. He says, only thing I'm concerned about is COVID, because there is no way the fight takes place until all fans are allowed back in. And who knows when that will be. Well, at least we've got 1,000 fans in tonight. Obviously, that's going to be no comparison to what sort of crowd AJ and Fury would pull. You'd be expecting a stadium fight for that one, wouldn't you? There are some positive signs, David. I mean, I did see for Errol Spence against Danny Garcia, there was a bit of a crowd in there. I'm not sure of how much was in attendance, but in America, they are starting to allow boxing fans in the stadiums now. Obviously, for this particular fight, we wouldn't want to see it in America. We would want to see it over here, like two Brits. We'd want to see the fight take place in England. But I don't know, would you guys sacrifice that for the fight to take place? Would you, if the fight was to take place in like Dubai or somewhere where there's not going to be like a massive crowd, or like Saudi Arabia, kind of like where AJ fought Ruiz in the second fight. Would you sacrifice that just so the fight happens? Like, no big crowd, but you know that there's going to be a lot of money sourced for it, and the fight will still be able to happen. I think for me at this stage, this may be controversial to some of you, but I'll take it. If the fight was to take place, even if it was in like Saudi Arabia or somewhere, somewhere where we all can't see it, but we have to watch it on TV, it would be disappointing, but I'd still take it, man. And I know that that's probably not going to go down well for a lot of people, but hey, I just want to see the fight now. I'm tired of seeing all of these big fights in the pipeline not get made. I'm kind of worried about Spence and Crawford in that sense because it's the same sort of situation where we're just waiting and waiting and waiting for this fight to happen. And then all of a sudden, like something might happen where one of the other guys loses and then that fight's lost its luster. I mean, we've seen that happen countless times in boxing. And I think with AJ and Fury, especially with it being in the heavyweight division, anything can happen, man. Anyone could land a shot. And then all of a sudden, the big fight that we all want to see is ruined. So I would take it abroad if it had to be just to get this fight on. Now, I'm just going to see where this, because I'm supposed to be waiting for a guy to come on. He's still not in the chat yet. Don't know where he is. He's in it. I think he's in another stream. Bear with me, guys. David says, I agree, the fight has to happen. Yeah, the fight does have to happen, man. The fight does have to happen. Will it happen? I think both guys want it. Definitely, I don't see any of the two guys ducking each other. I think both of them want it. But this is all about, this is just all business, isn't it? So big up Mohammed in here. He said that he'll join. Let me get the link over to you, bro. Post that in there. If anyone wants to join in, come in. We'll just chop it up about the fight. And then, yeah, let me know what you guys think, man. This is what it's all about, fan talk, get you guys' opinions as well. It's not just all about me rambling on. I want to hear what you guys have to say. So thank you to everybody for talking. And we've got Mo Boxing here. So let me add him onto the stream.
Yo,
Mo,
brother. Bro? Forgive me for not having my video on, guys. I look like a hot mess, so...
all good, brother. All good. We want to hear your opinion, man. We don't even care about appearances out here. We just want to talk about the fight.
Bro, my opinion is that too much emphasis is being always put on Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, and other teams saying that they don't want the fight. But they're the only guys making offers. And leading up to the build-up to this fight, I liked AJ's style of not answering questions or giving free publicity to other fighters who didn't sign anything or wanted to always negotiate more money or more anything over fights, you know. If you go back to the days of Mike Tyson fighting, when he was ruining people's careers on his way up, people wanted the opportunity to fight him, even if they were going to lose. They didn't care. They wanted to fight the best because it showed that you want to fight the best and you want to get paid as well. But nowadays, these guys all want to be Floyd Mayweather without being, you know, the hard worker who made Floyd Mayweather first. You know, when Floyd Mayweather was in featherweight and super featherweight, and lightweight and so on, and when he was knocking everyone out, working hard, you know.
Yeah.
These guys out here now, I don't care what they say, all of them talk too much and do little action. I might be controversial in saying this, but I believe personally Fury only fought Wilder because Wilder's a soft touch. He might be a big puncher, but there's no way I consider him any resemblance on the same level as AJ as a boxer, right? And after he came back from his, you know, depression, drug abuse, and so on, the last thing you want to do is come in with a young, hungry lion like AJ at that time. And then we see AJ lose when he took his eye off the ball to Ruiz, and all the situation there with other fighters not taking the fight or wanting the fight. Ortiz got offered something like 14 million or something like that. No, 7 million. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
7.5 million or whatever. And at the time, it was his highest. It was something like 8 times higher than his biggest payday ever at that
He didn't
time.
take
Then
it. Yeah.
he didn't take it, yeah. And they're talking about AJ's a ducker. Look, I'm not even an AJ fan. I'm not even any boxer fan, to be honest with you. I like boxing and I want to see the best fight the best, and that's the guy I'm gonna support. Because if you want to fight the best, like Crawford, like AJ, like Lomachenko, like Usyk when he was going through the whole division on the road, the cruiserweight division. If you want to be like these guys, I'll pay to watch these guys, but I don't want to pay to watch Tyson Fury and Tom Schwartz again, okay? What
Yeah.
excuse is there for that? If AJ fought Tom Schwartz, there's no way we would give him a pass. No way. We'd all be against him,
Good. Yeah. I agree.
right? I don't give a shit what any of these fans say of Tyson Fury or Wilder. Wilder ducked. He admitted it just recently, didn't he? Against when he said Fury's ducking him and he could have taken more money from AJ fight, blah blah blah. And before they were saying there was no money, or they were saying that we're betting on ourselves. These guys are all liars, man. They're all spin doctors. I'm tired of all of boxing. Boxing would be the biggest sport in the world if these guys all fought each other.
Yeah. Listen, man, I hear what you're saying, and I hear your frustrations as well, bro. I hear your frustrations. Listen, like, yes, sir, right here, he's just saying the same thing. Exactly what I was thinking about Errol Spence when, after he defeated Danny Garcia, everybody was expecting him to kind of speak about Terence Crawford, but he didn't say anything. Literally, he said, "I'm going to go back to my farm." It was like, come on, man. We want to hear you call them out.
Exactly.
I'm not really a
And
big UFC guy. I don't really watch too much UFC, but I know that those guys are more on it than like the boxers in terms of calling people out.
yeah, but you know what? With them, they can't hide behind any politics. They're all under the same banner, under the same house. With UFC, it's like it's a monopoly, basically. I'm not saying monopolies are good, but in a monopoly, imagine a dictatorship. Everything runs smoothly in a dictatorship. If you don't follow the rules, you get taken out, aren't you? Isn't it? I mean, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I'm
sure.
not I'm not saying dictatorships or monopolies are good. I'm just saying those guys, they have nowhere to hide. With Wilder, all these prima donnas, yeah, it's good that they get paid more than these UFC fighters and they deserve it. But to be honest, they give us too many like rubbish fights that are on pay-per-view. Thank God we don't live in America where you have to pay something like $80 to see Danny Garcia and Earl Spence.
Tell me about it for sure.
Bro, I mean, if people are complaining right here about AJ's fight being £25, not being £20, imagine
Well,
if we had to pay.
I was complaining about it being £25 because my stream weren't working properly. I don't know about yours, but I have Virgin Media, and the stream was terrible. But last comment for you, Mo, before I add another fan in. What were your
Okay.
closing thoughts on this fight?
My thoughts were that I was actually very surprised that AJ boxed so well. I didn't think that he would be able to out jab Pulev,
Pulev,
and
yeah,
kind
Pulev's
of
got a good shot. Yeah,
that's to do with Pulev's age, but I'll still give credit where credit is due. I wasn't surprised that all the AJ would land on the inside and use the uppercut, because I didn't think that he'd have the leaping left hook that the Vladimir Klitschko has. The flying left hook. I
yeah.
think Vladimir Klitschko's footwork is very underrated and it's better than AJ's in my opinion. But I wasn't surprised about anything, to be honest. I expected him to be patient. I expected him to use a style between the Ruiz 2 fight and his older style, before when he was fighting the likes of Dillian White and so on, because we saw it kind of in the Povetkin fight.
Yeah.
Granted, he was a lot heavier, but we saw it in that fight where he was boxing, jabbing to the solar plex, jabbing to the head, trying to keep range and so on, and moving. Was he moving to the right all the time, away from the right hand? Because he was doing that against Povetkin.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
indeed.
think. Yeah. So, and another thing about Pulev. Sorry, I just want to go again on one little rant. Yeah, Pulev ducked AJ in Germany in like 2016 or 2015 when Eddie Hearn chased him somewhere in a stadium in
Yeah, I
Germany
remember
after
that.
a
Yeah,
fight
yeah, he did. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
with Kugan Cassius, right? And he said, "Fight AJ. We'll give you big money." Blah blah blah. And he just froze on the spot. Yeah, he's a macho man, so he's not gonna say that he's a coward or he's scared. And he ducked him. And then again, he ducked him when Carlos Takam fought. He faked an injury, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Mhm.
And then he only wanted to take the fight now because he wanted AJ to have demons in his head and that he wasn't 100%. And AJ came back, just like he did against Ruiz in number 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, and after the fight, did you see him talking rubbish as well? Like he didn't quit. He
Briefly
quit. He
saw.
could have
Yeah,
gotten
I
up.
did. I did see that. Yeah, briefly. But yeah, you're spot on there with your points about Pulev, and I thought it was an emphatic win for AJ. But listen, Mo, thank you for joining, bro. And
Sorry for
we
going
definitely
so
have,
long, man. Thank you for
nah,
having
no
me, bro.
problem, man. We definitely have to chop it up again soon. So I'm going to subscribe to your channel, and we'll definitely talk
Bro,
more.
bro, I don't have a channel. I just
I
called
actually have a
myself
channel
Mo
now.
Boxing
I
on
just
this.
saw Mo Boxing there, so I thought you had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
channel there. But we'll definitely talk more, man, for sure. Give me a follow
Bro,
and we'll talk, bro.
I will do. What's your social medias?
This is the Boxing Lowdown YouTube channel, so feel free to subscribe when you
I'm
get out
already
of here.
subbed.
You
I'm
subbed,
already
yeah?
subbed. Yeah, yeah,
Well, just
yeah.
have a look. Have a look on Instagram, Twitter. I'm all over there. So yeah, we can talk a bit more, bro.
Okay, I'm on IG. I'll probably message you on that. Have a blessed day, man. Thank you for having me on, and thanks to all the people listening in the chat as well.
Thank you, Mo. Take care, bro.
Take care.
Great to have Mo on there, man. Made some great points. I've got another fan here waiting to be joined on. Ian Hamilton, can you see me, bro?
Yeah, Daryl, I can see you. That was a bit of a stress finding that link, but I'm finally here.
You're here, man. You're here. Yeah, it's good to have you here. I see you got your AJ t-shirt on.
Woo!
Obviously, you're happy with that victory. Talk to me, man. What did you think about the fight? How did you? What was your thoughts on how the fight played out?
Well, I didn't expect him to try and have a jab fest with Pulev, but he beat the guy that everyone thought was going to out-jab him. What a shocker! I mean, you know, I'm pleased with that performance because I was worried that he would listen to all the people saying he needs to like charge at him and go at him and all that. And you know, Klitschko took his time with him, and I hope that and I imagine what Klitschko was telling him was to take your time with this guy. You know, I mean, it was a dominant display. Yes, Pulev had some slight moments, but you know, AJ looked like he was always in control. And I was watching it with my dad, and he was just saying it's dominant boxing, and that's what keeps you at the top level. That's being the guy who has the big fights, the big wars all the time. That gets you good that gets you good with us. But in terms of your legacy, it just means like you might end up getting knocked out eventually one day. I mean, the Ruiz fight might have been the best thing to have happened to him because it's made him try and mix the old with the new, and he did it. I thought he did it brilliantly tonight. I thought again, his jab's gotten better for me.
I thought AJ in the first round it was a bit cagey. Second round he established his jab. Third round put Pulev on the floor. Pulev very lucky to get out of that third round. The way how he turned his back twice in that round, the referee could have stopped it in my opinion. Because when you turn your back like that you're kind of signaling like no mass. I don't want no more.
Yeah.
But to be fair to him, the referee, he was lucky that he was allowed to carry on. Yeah. And then after that, he showed good resilience, man, good durability. He stayed in there for a little bit longer. Even landed a couple of rights on AJ there. Nothing that really troubled him, in my opinion. But you know, in the 9th round, AJ really put his foot on the gas, like Peter Fury said. And I agree with what Peter Fury said as well. He said that he could take him out of there when he wanted to, and he did. So fair play to AJ for doing that. Yeah. The ending was emphatic. You know, that right hand, emphatic.
It was just
uppercut, emphatic.
Adam Catchroll from Fight Disciples said, you know, and shout out to Adam, you do a great job, mate. He said that he needs the Ivan needs to either a viral knockout or at least call Fury out, and he got the viral knockout. That's going to be all over sport and social media fit clips tomorrow. That knockout. That's the first time I've seen him properly like knock someone out for a long time. You know, he's normally beating them at the ropes and then the ref jumps in, but you know he needed that. He needed that. He needed that after a year, and he needed to send a statement to the Gypsy King. He absolutely needed to, and I'm glad he did. And it makes me. I might be still full confident after this, but it makes me more confident than ever that he beats the Gypsy King. And I'll say that I'm biased. I want AJ to beat the hell out of him, but you know, I just truly believe. I know Bellew.
Why you're not a fan of the Gypsy King? Why not? Big up David Smith as well. He said the ref seemed pretty good. To be fair, he let them both get on with it. And thank you, David, for hanging in there in the chat. I appreciate that, and for you, Mohammed, as well. No problem for you being on the show. But Ian, why don't you like Fury? Why don't you like the Gypsy King?
You know, my thing with Fury is that it was around. I first latched onto Tyson Fury in 2012, and for 3 years I told everybody that would listen that he would beat Klitschko. I had it in my head that he had the style to beat Vladimir Klitschko. It was more after he beat Klitschko and how he just. I felt a bit let down by the fact of how he just fell off. I truly believe there's the people I've grown up worshiping my whole life. You know, Beckham and Michael Schumacher and Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo. Just for the confusion of anyone who thinks I'm talking to Brazilian Ronaldo. They all had one thing. They didn't let the setbacks get to them. They rose, and I just felt like Fury just let all the naysayers get to him. And I just thought, you know, I can't follow this guy. And then AJ's on the scene. I'm like, here's someone I can follow. I can depend on him. And you know,
you're not happy with how Fury kind of bounced back from adversity, went through all those troubles, came back, won a world. It's a great story.
I'm all for good stories, but it's just the thing is, I'm trying to make a constructive thing regarding Fury. It's just he kept calling himself I'm the #1 lineal champion when he came back, and I'm like, mate, you've been gone for 3 years, and it was also him and Wilder. They were both getting in my ear, and it was just irritating. And it was like, oh, please, just you two shut up. And
well, answer me this, Ian. Answer me this. What was you disappointed that AJ didn't call out Fury in the post-fight interview?
I expected him to do that. I expected him not to give a full answer, because he's done it before. He did call Fury out 3 years ago, and then he did call Wilder out, and nothing happened. So maybe he's thinking, if I call him out, then it puts more pressure on it to get made, and then if it doesn't get, everyone gets upset. Because remember, when he beat Parker, he literally repeated Dylan's phrase of "Let's go, Wilder, let's go now," and then we didn't get it. So maybe he's thinking, I don't want to go that level of calling someone out and then letting the fans down, because you know I felt for him, and I just think he also hasn't boxed for a year. Maybe he just wanted to get the interview out of the way. And Andy Scott keeps pressing him and all that. I mean, God, I've asked Andy Scott this personally because I met him once in Newcastle, and you know, he just let AJ say his bit and get on with it. Eddie Hearn's the guy. If you want to get an answer, get Eddie Hearn's answer. He'll answer it what you want.
Shout out to the culture medium here in the chat. Thank you for joining. And I think that's kind of in response to what you said there, Ian. Just that Tyson did have the best comeback in boxing history. Wow. He did have a great comeback, considering where he was on the brink of suicide. Came back. Boxing history, that's debatable, I suppose. But he did have a very good comeback from what he came from to defeat Wilder the way how he did. Big up the culture medium. Thank you for joining the stream.
It's one of the best comebacks, but I can't put anything above Muhammad Ali's comeback. That is the be-all and end-all of boxing comebacks, because he was being shunned by his whole country and all that. I mean, it wasn't like Tyson Fury was barred by his whole country for 3 years. I can't put, and don't forget, Sugar Ray came back after 3 years and fought Marvin Hagler. Went in there with the beast Hagler. Fury did not jump in with AJ straight away. So, and I know he had his weight issues, but again, if you back yourself, you go in there straight off. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. We're all entitled to it. We live in a democracy. If people disagree with it, that's fine. But I wouldn't put it in the best one ever. But that's just people's opinion. But we're living in recent times. People recently remember it.
Okay, fair enough, man. Well, listen, man, at the end of the day, regardless of what you think about the comeback and whether you like him or not, the fight that we all want to see is AJ against Tyson Fury. Yeah. And I know what you're saying about AJ there, but for me, I would have liked to have seen AJ just say, look, you guys know what I want. I want to fight Fury. Let's get it on. Something like that. Don't need to elaborate or go into it into much detail. Kind of like with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford last week, where I was hoping that it'd say, look, Bud was in the crowd watching the fight. Just say, look, man, I want to fight Bud.
That was even worse. At least he's mentioned and talked about Fury. Like Spence and Crawford talk like it's an annoyance to them that they're even being mentioned with each other. I mean, can someone please get in there? Can Ray Leonard and can Sugar Ray and Thomas Hearns bash those two heads together and say, hey, we have our legacy because we fought each other? that was far worse because Errol didn't even barely mention him. It was like, and he was there. He was there. And, you know, he would have, I think he would have mentioned Fury if Fury was there. If Fury sat ringside, he'd have said, I think he would have called him in. He did it with Dylan, you know, Dylan, or was it Dylan that jumped in? I can't remember. When Dylan beat Chisora.
When Dylan defeated Chisora and AJ was there, it was Dylan that called AJ in the ring. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. One guy here is in response to Ian, and he said, man, AJ t-shirt puts down Fury's comeback. Listen, man, it's all fun and games. We want to see it, man. Doberman, I'm sure you want to see it, just like me, just like Ian. Let's get it on, man. I just want to see the fight. I just want to see it. I'm hoping next year we get to see it.
I want to see any fight that we get to. I want Spence Crawford. I want AJ Fury. I want whatever else people want. I'm like you. I'm a fan of the sport, and yes, I have my favorites. I have my guys that I want. I mean, if Spence and Crawford fight, I'll favor Crawford because, you know, I like Spence, but there's something about Crawford I like a bit more. But that's just me. I'm a fan, you know, and I have to pick guys. And
give me your final thoughts on tonight's fight.
Brilliant display from AJ and brilliant and better, becoming better at the jab. And you know, if he can like find the strategy to beat Fury, which I believe he can, then he will do it. And but as I say, brilliant all-round boxing display from AJ. Boxing display, not fighting display, boxing display. Key thing. It was like a Lennox Lewis display that sometimes, and I'm not comparing the two before people jump at me. You know, it was the jab. You know, that's what Lennox always says. The most important key thing is the jab. I think he said it, but someone else.
We've seen it 3 weeks in a row now. And just to close out, Ian, the culture medium here said, to be fair, this man has made some solid points, so fair play. So a nice note for you to leave it on. Ian, we'll catch up tomorrow, bro. Thank you for joining the stream. And we'll sure catch up tomorrow, man.
Yeah, great one, Daryl. Always love this.
Take care.
Thank you.
There you go, man. Ian Hamilton there. Big AJ fan. At the end of the day, we just want to see the fight, man. And I know people are going to ask me, what do I think if AJ and Fury do get it on? For those that are just joining the stream now that might have missed it, I do favour Tyson Fury over AJ if they were to fight. My reasons for that being that I just think that Tyson Fury has the style to make it a nightmare for AJ. The way how big he is and how he moves on his feet for such a big man, I think that his power is underrated, you know, like his punching power. And I think that he'd make it very difficult in there for Joshua. But I'm not ruling AJ out completely in that fight at all. I think that AJ has the ability to hurt Fury. We've seen what he could do with those uppercuts. It's not going to be like the Deontay Wilder fight where Fury's just dominating on the inside and out. I think that AJ is a lot more coordinated than Deontay Wilder. His technique, they've sparred a few times before. I think that AJ would give Fury a lot of different looks compared to what Deontay Wilder did. And that's why we all want to see it at the end of the day. I'll slightly favour Fury, but I think that it'll be a fantastic fight and one that we all need to see and one that I think the British public we need. We need that fight. But the question is, for anyone that's just joining the stream now, is would you be prepared for that fight to take place, I don't know, abroad, maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe Dubai, maybe in America, for that fight to take place? Because as of right now, we're in a pandemic. We don't know when we're going to be able to welcome full fans into a stadium. That will be a stadium type fight. If it was to take place in Saudi Arabia, then maybe somebody will put up enough money for that fight to happen. You won't need a big crowd for it, kind of similar to like AJ and Ruiz too. What are your guys' thoughts on that, man? I don't know. I think at this stage, I'm willing to even, not ideal, I wouldn't want it to take place anywhere else other than the UK. But if somebody was to say to me next year that fight happens, but it will happen abroad, I'll be like, fuck it, let it happen. I just need to see it. Big up the culture medium here in the chat. He said, I think if will AJ win, it might be by opening up Fury's cut with a left hook. Fury does get hit by a left hook, and AJ's got a pretty good left hook. He can hook off that jab, man. AJ has got a good left hook. Like I said, I'm not ruling AJ out at all. I think that he presents Tyson Fury with some difficult problems in there. He's a lot more coordinated. Like I said, he has a great uppercut. He has a solid jab, and I think that he will go for Fury, man. It won't be like the Wilder fight. Put it that way. Big up David Smith, still here. Thank you for staying in the chat, bro. He said it's an unknown for AJ fighting someone bigger than him, but I agree AJ can knock out anyone in the division. I agree. I think he can actually knock out anyone in that division, man. Ruiz, he didn't get to knock out, but he put him down. Ruiz has got a very good chin, to be fair. Can AJ knock everybody out in the division? It's difficult. He's got the power to, for sure. And he could put down Fury. I think Fury will be hard to knock out because we saw what Deontay Wilder did to him in that first fight, and he got straight back up even after that. So it will be difficult. But listen, I won't argue with that opinion too much. Big up Muhammad still here. I agree, but Fury can beat AJ. But AJ on his back foot would give Fury nightmares, worse than what Fury can make for AJ. Fury has looked normal against guys who move backwards. Yeah, I mean, Otto Wallin gave Fury difficulty. He didn't really move backwards in that fight that much, but Otto Wallin gave Fury trouble. And I think a lot of the Fury fanboys seem to forget that if a man like Otto Wallin could give Fury trouble, cut his eye and nearly stop the fight, then it's not out of the realms of the possibility that AJ could beat him. Do you know? So it is going to be a very good fight to make. Doberman says, I think AJ versus Fury has to be in the UK. You would like to think the COVID thing will be under a lot more control in the last quarter of 2021. I tend to agree. They're saying that maybe by the autumn, when they've rolled out this vaccine a bit more, maybe they'll be allowed to get more crowds in. I think that they were talking about having full stadiums by then, but who knows, man? I mean, they say one thing, then it changes another day. So I don't know. I want to have your optimism as well, Doberman. If it does happen in the UK, that would be ideal. And I feel like it really should happen in the UK, considering the sort of fight that it is, the biggest in boxing right now, the biggest in British boxing history. It does have to happen in the UK. It does. I think I'm just being impatient where I'll say that I'll take it anywhere else. The Culture Medium says Fury struggles with smaller fighters, Steve Cunningham, McDermott, etc. Again, yeah, Otto Wallin's another one. He was smaller than Fury. He did struggle in there with him. Yes, says those fights were ages ago, but good point. Big up Perry Julian in the chat. Thank you for joining. I would like to see AJ versus Wilder. Great fight. I'd still like to see that fight. I would still like to see AJ against Wilder, man. I mean, I know Wilder's been damaged from that Fury rematch, and I think he's been damaged psychologically as well. But if Wilder landed some of those right hands on AJ, I think that's the factor there. If Wilder was able to land on AJ, then you'd fear for him. Do you know what I mean? And it'd be exciting as well. I think the build-up would be very exciting. And I think the fight would be exciting while it lasts. But I think I need to see Wilder in a fight first. If it's not Fury, I think I need to see him in there with someone else. Look good doing it, and then help build up. I wouldn't want to see him get in there with AJ right now. It wouldn't be my first choice. Big up Mo again in the chat. He says Cunningham looked way better than Fury while it was a boxing fight. Usyk versus AJ, who wins and why? For me, I favour AJ. I favour AJ over Usyk, man. I think Usyk is got great ability, fantastic ability. We know what sort of skills levels he's got, but I just think against the big men, I haven't been that impressed with him at heavyweight so far. He beat Chisora, and I thought he was good against Chisora, but he did struggle in there at times. And I left that fight thinking while Usyk does have the skills to cause AJ problems, he's not unhittable. He can get hit. And I don't think he'll be able to stand up to AJ's punches all night. I don't. I think against the top guys like AJ and Fury, I think that Usyk might fall a bit short. But against anyone else in the division, I think he has a good chance. I do rate him highly. I do. The Culture Medium in the chat, thank you for still being here. They're saying these heavyweights all need to fight. This is a good era we're witnessing. Just need them to mix it up. Yeah, man. And I'm sure you probably saw the 90s era as well. I'm not sure how old you are, but 90s era of heavyweights, man. Those guys, they did eventually mix it up. And it was a classic era for boxing, man. And I think that with these heavyweights, I'm not saying that all of them are Hall of Famers or anything like that, but the sort of styles and the sort of fights that we could get with these heavyweights, I want to see them all in there, man. I mean, look at the heavyweights that we've got now. We've got AJ, Fury, Usyk, Ruiz, Wilder, Dillian White, Povetkin. Who else is in there? We've got Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois can come back. We've got a lot of good heavyweights in there, man. If we mix them up together, we can make some good fights there. Pulev's still there if he wants to carry on. There's a lot of good fights, man. I'd like to see these guys mix it up. Hopefully we get to see more of that next year. We did see Dubois against Joe Joyce. That was a fight that we were all looking forward to. and it was a spectacular ending, the way how Dubois kind of took the knee there. But, you know, he can come back from that. Joyce looked to move on to bigger and better things. So, yeah, I think at every level, you can make a good fight at heavyweight, man. There's loads of exciting fights to be made. So it's one of the best divisions in boxing for sure, maybe the best. Doberman says, AJ beats Usyk. I agree. I feel like Hearn is hyping Usyk up to be something he is not at the heavyweight division. It's all marketing for that fight, and you can't blame him. Absolutely agree with you. I like to see Tony Yoka step it up as well. For sure, Tony Yoka is decent. Michael Hunter, absolutely. This is what I'm saying. Look at that, man. Tony Yoka, Michael Hunter. There are loads of decent heavyweights out there, man. Loads of decent heavyweights out there. So we all know who the top two are. We all know who we want to see fight each other. That is Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. And listen, guys, I'm going to wrap this show up. But I want to thank you all for being in here, chatting to me about the fight. It's been great having you guys on this live. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. I definitely want to get this out to more people, man. At the moment, it's we've got 10 people in here, and you've all been great. So thank you all for joining. And eventually, after each of these fights, I'll just jump on the stream and we can talk. We can talk about what happened. We can talk about looking forward ahead to the future, and any other fights in the pipeline, man. We could talk about whatever. So listen, guys, thank you all for joining. Definitely hit the sub button. Thank you all for watching. Adding your comments has been very interactive. I've enjoyed it. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Yes, sir. We'll end up with this comment right here. Lowdown needs 1,000. Bro, I need 1,000, man. I think I'm on like 680 something, maybe. I'm not sure. But again, we're working, man. We're building. So we'll get there eventually. Thank you all for joining. And Julian Perry, thank you again. The Culture Medium. Yeah, definitely we can get you on next time, man. When I go on live, hit that sub button. Just message me. We'll sort something out for sure. Big up Mo in the chat as well. Thank you for joining. And thank you all for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next video. Take care. Have a good evening.